Welcome to Home Sweet Gardens. My name is Amy. I live in Northeast Missouri, growing zone 6A. I'm here to do my weekly garden tour. A few things have changed, not a whole lot. Still kind of just slowly getting into the production. Things haven't really been started to produce in mass yet, but they will. They're getting there. I had a couple plants die, I know, so we'll kind of go over that when we get into it. I want to say welcome if you're returning to the channel. Thanks for coming back. We really appreciate you and love to have you here. If you're new to the channel, welcome. I put on a garden tour channel or video once a week, normally on the weekends, and then I try to do some other little videos here and there. So again, welcome back. If you like it, give a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel. I would really appreciate it. Okay, this is the time of year. It's July 11th, 2020. We're not quite into the thick of summer, but it's getting pretty stinking hot. And this is the time of year where I start to feel overwhelmed, not by the production of the vegetables or the fruits, not by what I'm picking, although that is part of it too. I get to a point where I have so many squash and zucchini that and cucumbers that I just, you know, I get to a point where I look at them and I go, ugh, I'll just do something with them later. That's when I start giving some stuff away, and then making zucchini bread and doing some cucumber and onion pickled in the fridge, that kind of thing. I'm always looking for new recipes. So if you know of anything, you know, put it in the comments below. Would always love to have new recipes for stuff, because my family doesn't really like to eat vegetables. So I always have to find creative ways that I can sneak them in and that they'll like them. So, but I get overwhelmed by the weeds, the consistent, persistent, just god-awful weeds, the crabgrass, the thistles are horrible. This other vining weed that has gotten into my garden in the last couple of years, I don't know what it is. I've researched and researched, and I don't know what the name of it is. It's just constant, you know, so trying to keep up and keep the weeds pulled is really difficult for me and very discouraging a lot of times. Last year I had mulch that we put down over the whole garden, in between the beds and everything, and it was I guess it was 2 years ago, and it was absolutely beautiful the first year. The second year it started to fade a little bit. It needed some more here and there. I didn't get into it, and I ended up having some health issues, so I wasn't able to be out as much as I should have, and the weeds took over, and so then I had knee-high weeds in mulch, which you can't mow because of the mulch. So this summer, or this spring, I raked out and dug out all the mulch and went back to grass, and so now I'm back to mowing. I don't mind mowing. I have a push mower that's I think 100 years old, but it's self-propelled. What I really like about it is the front wheels turn independently of themselves in the front. You can lock them to their single position, or you can let them free turn, and so when you go forward, you know, they're one way, and then when you go backwards, they turn around and go the back way. So you can literally just turn the whole push mower in a circle, and you're not having to lift up to turn it, you know, like you are a lot of your mowers. So, and it's easy to start, so it's a good mower, but still having to go in and around things. And I'll show you once we get into our tour a little later what I'm talking about, because it's terrible. I didn't plan ahead for that part at all. If you have to push mow, make sure you leave enough space and you make things square. That's all I gotta say, okay, on that one. But anyway, so the weeds are discouraging to me. The heat, when I get off of work, I come home. It's, of course, the you know, the hottest part of the day. So then I go in for a little while, I come back out, and then it's like the minute it starts to cool off, out come the mosquitoes, and they run you off. They like to carry away a small dog. So it can be very discouraging. But on that note, this is the best time of year too if you have a garden. Right now it's 9:30, and people are just starting to get up and around. I'm starting seeing a little bit more traffic coming through. The shade is still in the garden. The sun hasn't quite hit it yet. It's starting to, so it's still somewhat decent weather. And this is my favorite time because it's cool. It's peaceful. The birds are out moving around. They're really active, you know, and the bugs, the bees are starting to come around. So it's a lot of fun. So even though there's the pesky weeds and, you know, that kind of thing, the bug stand thing on the other side of it, it's life. It's nature at its fullest, and I'm fortunate to be a part of it. So let's get started on I swear I think I'm losing count. I think this is the 11th garden tour for 2020. Again, I'm in Zone 6A, Northeast Missouri, where we have a nice long growing season, so we're pretty fortunate. So without further ado, let's get going on our garden tour. Okay, so I told you that we had some loss of some plants here. We'll go with that. First I'm going to start here. So I came out, well, last week's garden tour, my butternut squash looked absolutely amazing. I mean, it was something I swear you could put in a textbook for a, you know, an encyclopedia picture. It just was the epitome of health. About 2 days after that video, I came out, and the largest of my butternut squash, which was right here on this trellis, was wilting. What the heck is going on? So I come out and I look, and just a handful of the leaves were wilting. So I came out with my clippers and I clipped off the worst of the leaves and the dead flowers that were wilting to try and stimulate and help it to grow a little bit. And the one on the left was looking pretty puny, but it had always looked a little bit wimpy. So, you know, I didn't really think a whole lot about it. So then 2 days later I came out, and all of the leaves were completely just laid over flat. They were yellow, like the color of the blooms. None of the flower blossoms were open. Everything was just wilted. So I put a picture of, or posted a thing on my garden page that I belong to, and asked, hey, you know, what the heck is going on? And somebody said it was cucumber wilt. And they said it's a cucumber beetle that will get to cucumbers or squash, other vining vegetable plants, and they feed on it, and there's a bacteria, and I can't remember the name of the bacteria, but it gets introduced to the plant, and it changes the enzymes, and it kills the plant. Basically, it starves it of water, if I understand correctly. And so that if you leave that plant there, then the cucumber beetle goes to the next plant next to it, and since it's got that bacteria on its mouth parts, it then introduces it to your next one. So I immediately came out, and I got that from a member, so I was appreciative of that because I didn't know that. So I came out immediately and ripped it out, the whole thing. You do not compost it, don't keep it, and then you dispose of it. So I lost one butternut squash here, and I lost the other butternut squash here. So now I only have two, which is really a bummer because I was really wanting to have several butternut squash that I could can or put up this year. So it's kind of a bummer, and I don't know. I thought about sticking another one in the ground, but they take so long. I don't know if I have enough time. I might go ahead and just do it again anyway and just see if it lives great. If it doesn't, doesn't. But what you see on this trellis here right now is just two plants. And you can see how much it's growing up and around. And what's interesting is this right here is actually the tip of the other plant on the other side. So 2 really is about what you would need for 1 trellis. I did want to show this because I'm so excited. I'm such a nerd. I get so excited over fruit or vegetables. That is my butternut squash. Yay, so excited. Let's see. I think I have a couple more. I'm gonna go on this side so I don't face you towards the sun. All right, there's one right there. Can you see it? Yep, there you go. Isn't that cool? And then I have another one going here. They're really neat. I love them. So as they grow, this one here is going to end up staying up on top of the trellis, and so it should be fine. This one right here, let's see. Okay, right here. This one is kind of sticking up, so I will have to watch it, and I'll try and get it to come down underneath. See, so I'm gonna pull this down here. Hopefully I don't break it. There we go. Okay, so now I've got it like this. So as it's growing, it should push it down, and then I will put a stocking, like a pantyhose stocking on it, and it'll hang down. I'll connect it to the trellis here, and then it'll grow like that. If they're growing on top of the trellis, you don't have to support them. I only put the, what do you call it, the pantyhose on them if they're going to be hanging down. So that, you know, to support their weight. My peppers are looking really good. They've, I think, doubled in their size. They're starting to get little fruits on them. See there. Now these are ones that don't get they're not like your traditional bell. They're more of your, they look almost like a big jalapeno or something, but they're not. In fact, they are a type of hot pepper, but they're not hot. So that's why they look like that. My okra are huge. My kitty, what are you doing? The cat just jumped through the strawberry patch. She thinks she's like a tiger, a great hunting cat. So I figured I probably planted them too close, because I was told they got massive after I planted them. So I don't know. I think that I probably shouldn't have too much trouble with weeds, though, as thick as they're growing. But I do have, look at that, a flower. I was told, and that was part of the reason why I grew them, is because I've seen the pictures of the flowers, and okra flowers are absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh, they are so pretty. If nothing else, I'm growing the plant for the flowers, which, why not? I mean, look at these squash flowers. They're beautiful, absolutely gorgeous. So, yep, there's my one. Come on, little camera. Work with me here. There, look at that. Isn't that beautiful? So, at any rate, I'm really excited about the okra coming through. It's something brand new for me. Here's another one. So, okay, so my peas were done. They had pretty much dried up and were dead. As you can see, I put them in my compost pile here that I need to take care of. I've got a bunch of green on top that I need to turn. But anyway, so I ripped all those out. So the outside of this trellis is now bare, but it's giving way for my Asian long beans. And I keep checking and keep checking, and I have not seen any beans come off of it yet. I do see what looks like the little flowers, but they are trellising all the way up and over. They're a lot finer than what I guess I thought they were going to be thicker. I'm not sure why, because they're still just a bean, but at any rate, they're getting there. You can see the little flowers on them, so that's kind of cool. And then, of course, like I said, they're trellising up, and they will literally grab whatever they can find. So every once in a while, I got to reach up there and assist them in their venturing. But hopefully soon, by next week maybe, I will have some Asian long beans to pick. Because, yep, see right there, there's a couple more. So, pretty exciting. My lettuce, here's the flowers. And last week I talked about how they will flower. And then I will save those after the flowers dry up. And that will be my lettuce seed for when I want to plant more lettuce. Okay, do you notice anything missing here? Because I have a giant hole in my heart. So those same apparent cucumber beetles or squash bugs, I'm not exactly sure what did it, to be honest, but I came out and pretty much the same thing was happening to my one squash and one zucchini plant that happened to my butternut squash. So since I had lost those two already so quickly, I decided to go ahead and rip these two out just to be safe. I didn't necessarily need that much produce off of it, because one zucchini plant honestly is enough to feed our whole family. I always just did two because I liked to give it away, and I like the insurance in case, like this, one dies. So, because I always seem to have one that produces or does better than the other for whatever reason. So I just kind of like an insurance policy, I guess. So the zucchini plant that was here, that was doing very well, just started not doing well at all. Started getting yellow. It was wimpy. It was leaning over. I'm like, oh my gosh, it's dying. And wilted just like the other ones. And so I ripped it out. Did not put it in my compost pile. I made sure to put it over on the burn pile. And so you can notice the hole, as is my heart whenever I lose a plant. And the worst part about it too is the fact that the stick broke. So now I've got to figure out a way to dig down in there and get out the portion of stake that broke off in the ground. And same thing with my zucchini here that I had to get out, but at least I didn't break the stick. And of course it gives light to all the wonderful weeds. So those are thistle. They're horrible, evil, stickery little jerks that when you're pulling weeds, if you're not careful and you grab one of those stinking things, those thorns will stick in your hand, and it is not very pleasant, trust me. The other plant that I really don't know what it is, and I have looked and researched as much as I can, is this. I know that the root system goes down underneath the ground and it runs horizontal underneath, about a foot underneath the ground. So it is completely all the way through this entire bed. I've not really seen it go any farther than like right here. I've not seen it go past the autumn fires, but it is going all the way through, and it's gotten over towards this bed over here. About halfway. I've not seen it go any farther than that. Well, no, actually through these whole beds here, I've not seen it go any farther north though. So it's literally just in this area here. It's not difficult to pull. Thankfully, there are no stickers at least, but you can see that, and that's just I guess a sucker off the main root. When I dug up all the mulch here, I could see the roots, and they were about the width of my pinky, and they were running underneath these beds and then out. And I was able to pull them all out, and they're like this pinkish white with a bunch of little, you know, root systems off of it. So I don't know if you know what it is. I would love to hear from you, because I don't know. Weed killer doesn't kill it. So all I've been doing is just pulling it whenever I see it, and it's not stopping in any way. But like I said, it's not stickers, so that's a good thing. Betsy. I've never let one grow all the way up to see what kind of flower it is. I hate to do that, but I may have to, just so I can see what it is. It's got almost like a milky film, and it's sticky when it gets on you. So here's my last scallop squash. It's interesting because those are supposed to be yellow, but they're this dark green color. I don't know if maybe the seed got messed up, or they were one that got cross-pollinated. I don't know, but it's doing okay. We'll see. Here's my other zucchini plant. It's doing very well. I am reluctant to say that now. It seems like every time I say something's doing really well, it dies on me. But as you can see, the root system is healthy. I've got to tie it up again. It's getting taller to the top there, so I'll have to do some more tying. I need to go through and do a little bit more reinforcement on it down there. The plant is just absolutely massive, and it's very tall, and I don't know that you're getting a good picture life size of how tall it is. It's almost chest level to me, and I'm 5'10", so if that gives you an idea of how tall this plant is. It's absolutely massive. There's another giant stake in there, if you've noticed. That stick broke as well the other day when I was reinforcing tying it. It snapped the stick, and so I took and had to drive this really long one in, and I used the wire ties on that to stake it in to hold it in. So it's leaning a little bit, but that's okay. These plants get really, really heavy. So like I was talking about in that vertical gardening video that I did, you need something strong enough that's going to be able to hold that plant, because there's a whole lot of weight, especially if you start getting some really big zucchini, which is what happened. I had one that got rather large, and the weight of it pulled, and the dampness of the ground, we've had so much rain this spring, just it was more than my stake could handle. So again, I will put a link to my vertical gardening video in here, because it talks about how to grow your zucchini upright like this. Even though I lost the other plant, I'm still going to continue to grow on this way. I think it's the best way to do it, especially if you have an above ground garden where you don't have a lot of space. My eggplants are doing well. They're starting to fill out. They take forever. I forget every year. I think, God, they're never going to grow. They're never going to grow. But I forget every year that they're late to the party. They're slow, but they're putting in more leaves, and you can see here in what I would call the armpit of the plant. So I can get in there right here. Let's see if you can see that. See that little spot, and then there's one right. Oh, there's one right there. That's the start of another stem. And a lot of times that's where the eggplant will start in. So I've got one there, and I've got one there. My kohlrabi is getting eaten up. It's not getting really big. Some of them are getting larger. But some of them are growing tall. And I'm not sure if that's normal, because I I've never grown it before, so I don't know. My cucumbers are doing really well. I've got some I think that I probably need to harvest. Yep, there's one there. Now again, these are cucumber or pickling cucumbers, I'm sorry. So they're not meant to get really big. That's about the size that you want to grow them. About the size of a large sweet pickle, I guess is what I would say. Because otherwise I find that they get pretty bitter. Now you can pick them larger than that. They just get almost kind of spongy sometimes, and the seeds get bigger and a little bitter in my opinion. But if you're going to put them in pickling brine, I don't know that it would really make that much difference. See, so there's one right there. So I don't know if I should just go ahead and get them out, if I should just let them go. I don't know. If you leave them too long, do they get tough? I have no idea. It's my first time. I think I planted them too late in the season, so I will probably plant some more towards the end of this summer and see if I can't get some more in the fall. I like my beets here. It's way too late in the season for them, and they never have gotten much taller, much bigger, because I think the heat has pretty much stopped their growth, because see that they're not getting much bigger than this. Which is fine for me because I put them in, again, in pickling brine. But still, they're not getting to the size that they're supposed to get. Ooh, there's a nice cucumber right there. Look at that, buddy. Yep, there's several. Oh, wow. I would not want to cut them any larger, or take them any larger than that. That, I think, would be about the biggest size for these type of cucumbers that I'd want to even try to eat. Okay, my artichoke looks really good. I need to come out and probably get rid of these bottom leaves here. But it's doing well. It's starting to bring in, it'll start growing up in here, and it'll get really tight and full. And from the inside is where the actual fruit of the artichoke will come in. My banana pepper plant is starting to put on its blossoms, so that's exciting. I've gotten one so far. That's it. Of course, the back side of my other butternut squash plant, and that is all one plant. It's crazy. Okay, so my Purple Queen beans are doing well. I keep thinking they're slowing down on their production, but they're not. There's a whole bunch of them on there that need to be picked again, and I just picked them. I didn't pick them last night. I got home from work really late last night, so this would have been 2 days without picking, but they're still starting to turn a little yellow, starting to get a little tired, I think, but they're still doing really well. But I had since planted the dragon tongue, and so here they are. Crazy how quickly they came up. They sprouted, geez, it was, I think, less than 7 days. So it's exciting. This is a Brad's Atomic Grape tomato plant. I had planted those in this bed last year, and I thought I had pulled all the ones that had grown out, but I missed one. I absolutely hate tomatoes. I can't even stand the smell of the plants. I don't like them so much. So, in fact, I just moved it and I can smell it. But anyway, I just left it. I didn't have the heart to rip it out. Here's my sunflowers that I had stuck in on the inner part of the beds. And look, there is a blossom getting ready to bloom. So these will get really big and they'll kind of hang out over the bed. And then, of course, the beans will get tall and fill it up. So it's going to look really cool. I have not planted anything over on this side because I have my carrots that I'm setting to seed. And, of course, weeds. carrot seeds. That's what they look like, the flowers anyway. So here's the flowers of a carrot. And when they are all dried up and ready to go, I have red ants. Ew. Then I will collect all those seeds, and that will give me more than enough seeds to be able to plant them next year to harvest them. My petunias, I bought these at a local nursery, and I don't think I'll ever go there again. That's kind of what they look like when I brought them home, and I cut them back and I transplanted, or I propagated and whatnot, but they never ended up getting full like they should, like I've gotten every other year when I've bought them. So not real happy with those. You'll notice that there's a table growing in my onion bed. I was mowing, so I had put it up there so I could mow around. I pulled all my onions. The tops had all fallen over. They were starting to turn yellow. So I went ahead and pulled them all. And then I took them up to my cousin's house. He has a basement that has air conditioning throughout it, so it's cool. And he's not home, so it's going to be dark, cool, there's airflow, it's a perfect place. So I actually got it's like a small version of an oven rack. I stuck the greens through the wires and hung them upside down, and then propped them up to where they could be sitting where air can get completely around all of them, and left them there. I did that, I think it was Wednesday, maybe, something like that. And so I'll probably go up there sometime this weekend and check on them. It takes about a week for them to cure, or what I mean by cure is to dry. So then once they're done, I will cut the tops off to about an inch above the onion, and then they're ready to store. They store for a long time as long as you can keep them in a dark, cool place. I may actually just leave them up there and go get them as I need them, because it's not like he lives that far away. I will plant more of them. I haven't eaten one yet, but I'll plant more onions. But I grew them from seed, and I started too late, so they never got the opportunity to get as big as they needed to get. So I need to start them earlier. But that's, again, something to learn for the next growing season. My poor pear tree. You know, I felt like that when I was about 8 months into my pregnancy. Felt like I was weighed down to the world and was huge. Well, my poor pear tree, I think, is probably feeling the same way. They're not ready, although some of them are got a little bit of a give to them, which tells me that they're going to get close. But as you can see, the tree is really not doing the greatest. I'm stumbling around here, sorry, because I backed up and I almost stepped on my butterfly bush. So it's really, really straining with the weight of the pears in it. And it's so hot right now, and the ground is dry, that it's just really struggling. I'm probably going to have to come out here and get a drip hose and water it, because it is pretty darn dry out. Which is interesting, because my garden beds are not. I haven't watered in a good 2 weeks, when everybody else has been watering every day or every other day, because my garden beds are still very much moist. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I have the trellises with the plants that are going up and over, so that it gets a little bit of shade. I think some of it has to do with the bedding, the pine bedding that I had put in there, you know, in the beginning to suppress weeds. I think it's holding the moisture in as well, and the fact that it's above the ground, so it's not being sucked out. May not be any of these things, but that's what I think. My corn is doing okay. Oh, I got one that looks like it's dying. but it's getting bigger. I don't know how tall this corn is supposed to get. I think it's more of a, not decorative, but a novelty. There you go. I think it's more of a novelty corn than anything. So I don't expect that it'll get to be the size of, like, you know, your sweet corn that you grow that's like 6 foot tall. But I don't know. We'll see. Here's one of my rose bushes, my climbing bushes. I cut all the dead flowers off of it yesterday, or the day before, I'm sorry. And look at my mixed flower bed. What a smorgasbord of whatever. I don't know. And I don't know what this is. It looks like a cucumber plant. So why would we have put a cucumber plant in with seeds, with flower seeds? I don't know, because it's going to take over if that's what it is. But look at that. Isn't that pretty? I'd have no idea what it is, because it didn't list any of the flowers that they put in there. I know that these are marigolds. I think that's what they look like anyway. But I have no idea what any of the rest of this stuff is. So if you know, would you please tell me? Because I have no idea. This, I think, is supposed to be my toothache plant. But it's not doing a whole lot. So I just don't know. It's crazy. Here's my other climbing rose bush. I told you I hit it with the mower. And then it started to put on some more new growth. Well, look. Yay! A little bud. I'm so excited. So it's doing well. My Roselle Reds, my elephant ears, and my mammoth sunflowers, who don't look real mammoth right now, but hopefully they'll get some size on them. I actually even hate to show you this side of the garden, because it's the least kept up and tidy side. But right there is my alums. I absolutely love alums. They're so pretty. They're just starting to open. They are a part of the onion family, so these are just almost like giant chives, I guess you could think of them as. But I've got those. I've got one here that they've got blooms or blossoms, but they haven't bloomed yet. And then I've got one here. And then you got to see all the glory of the backside of the garden that I don't film because it's weedy and ugly. Alright, so here's the backside of the garden through my mulch pile that I've got to attend to. That you can really see the massive size of that zucchini plant. It is insane how big it is. My cucumbers, my peach tree and my dead peach tree, and then my Brussels sprouts, my chives, and some herbs. Now, earlier when I was talking about mowing, this is what I meant right here. Every single one of those planters, I used old brick from my husband's grandmother's house that burned. Novel idea, a lot of history. I thought it was really cool. You know, like, oh, that'd be really neat to do. I put some epoxy in between so they would stick, filled them with dirt. I put some weed barrier material inside of it, and then filled it with dirt, potting soil and dirt and whatnot. Worked out perfect. When I built them, I had mulch. So I didn't have to mow because I just had the mulch out. It looked amazing. It was perfect. Just absolutely gorgeous. And then I ripped all the mulch out because I couldn't keep the weeds out and I wanted to be able to mow. Well, those angles right there, every little spot that's got a little bit of a point is horrible when it comes to mowing. So, and the fact that you see how close together they are, and then the plants are tall. So when I say it is a royal pain in the beep, to mow. I'm not kidding. So that's what I meant by not very well thought out. You know, as your garden changes or as you do different things, you realize the things that you had before when you want to go change something may not work. So trying to think ahead of that. If I would have thought ahead, instead of just going, I don't want the mulch anymore, I want to mow. If I'd have stopped and thought about what that was going to entail, then when I was ripping out the mulch and before I planted stuff, I would have ripped out these bricks and found something else to do with them instead. But hindsight is 2020. And so looking ahead to the next year, because that's, again, something that you want to do. Because this peach tree is dead and that peach tree is sad, it just really isn't doing a whole lot. I may go ahead and leave it, but I probably won't. So I'm probably going to rip out all these round things and build me another above ground bed. I don't know if I'm going to make it narrow and long like I did with those other ones, or if I'm going to make one big square. Maybe like make a big permanent box for something, like I have the strawberries. Maybe I'll make a couple big square ones that are going to be just herbs, or just, you know, something that comes back reoccurring kind of thing. I don't know yet. I know that I would like them to be taller. The older you get, the harder it is to get up and down off the ground. After having back surgery several years ago, it's hard for me to lean over to pick stuff for any length of time. So I don't know, maybe I'll use all those bricks and build me a tall one. I don't know. We'll see. That's something I'm going to think about. That's the exciting part of the gardening to me too, though, is to plan and visualize and think, what can I do next time? How can I make it different? How can I change this? How can I change that? I came out and the leaves to my grapes look like this. And there were thousands of Japanese beetles. I'm assuming that's what they were, eating my grape leaves. And so I cut back all of the vines. You can see all the dead grapevines that are littering the grass there. I cut back all, because I noticed they were all hovering in spaces where the vines were hiding them. I would imagine that was so birds and other things couldn't get to them. So I cut those all back, and I got some liquid 7 dust. Now, I've said before that I don't like to use pesticides and sprays and stuff unless I absolutely have to. If I can use hand picking or scraping or some soapy water or something like that, I will. But this just was to a point to where it was damaging most of the plant. So I got my 7 dust out, and I use the liquid concentrate and mix it in a sprayer, and I coated the grapes heavily with it. And I so far have only noticed one back on them. Now, when I cut all the vines back to expose all the bugs, I also exposed all the grapes. But you're kind of damned if you do, damned if you don't. So this is the most success I've had with the grapes so far this year, and I've been keeping the vines cut back. So I'm hoping that it will be good enough for me to be able to get some. I just want some. They can have a little bit. Please leave me a little bit. Right here, see, look at that. They are starting to turn that purple that they need to be. They're not very big. And I don't think they're going to get very big, because I think that even though I kept the vines cut back, I should have been cutting some of the clusters of berries off as well. So next year, I'll probably do that. You can see as it gets a little closer, like this is off one of the main stalks, and these are bigger, but they're not going to get real big. These are, I think they're Concord, so they're not going to get like your table grape size, but that's okay. I just want to be somewhat sweet. And then, looky here, looky. See the nest? It's empty. I saw a little young bird flittering around in the grass a little bit ago, so I would venture to say that the bird flew the nest. Last but not least, my beautiful red roses. Isn't that just beautiful? They're so pretty. This one doesn't have any more blooms on it, I don't think. No, but because I just cut one off, but it's got some more leaves coming on, so that's good. Here, we've got one little bloom, little blossom there, and then one that's getting ready to open. And this one is so neat because it's almost like a variegated. My shade garden area here is looking really nice. I need to water my hanging baskets. This is the time of year when I normally take my bird bath over there and I fill it with water and just put these inside of it. And then that way they can just soak up some nice, good moisture. My coral bells looks really well, really good. It's so funny because it blooms and then it doesn't, then it blooms and then it doesn't, so I guess that's something that it's supposed to do. My bleeding heart, I moved these when I mowed and I never put them back where they were supposed to go. That's the other thing about mowing when you have to mow, is you have to think about all the stuff you have to move every time you mow. So, lessons learned, people, lessons learned. My bleeding heart is bleeding. It's sad. I don't know what's wrong with it. It obviously is not happy. So I'll have to do some research, some reading to see what I can do to try and help fix that. There we go. And try and get this without showing me, but that's not going to be able to happen. But my mirror, say hi, looks amazing. And I am still just, I can't believe how clean it's staying when it's outside. My bathroom mirror won't even stay that clean. It's getting rained on and everything else. So, I don't know. I'm excited. I loved the idea. I'm really glad I did it. And of course, same with these two mirrors. I just can't believe how clean they're staying from being outside. It's crazy. Well, folks, that's all for this week's garden tour. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I enjoy making it. It's hot. I'm going to be going inside and doing the everyday stuff that we all have to do every day, which is laundry, dishes, cleaning the bathroom and the floors and everything else. Harassing my 16-and-a-half-year-old to come out and put up his tent that he set up the other day to clean, and still has not come out to take it down so that it doesn't kill my grass. If you have a 16-and-a-half or even somewhere around that old of a child, wish me luck. It'll probably take me half the day just to get him out of his room to do it. He's not the kind of kid he's not lazy in the sense of working. He is when it comes to any kind of housework, obviously. But he does have a full-time job. I'm so proud of him. He works for a farmer, and he really is a hard-working kid. He's a good kid. But he is also a teenager. So, hence the gray hair. I blame it on him, but actually I think it was probably my mom's fault. So if mom is watching this, I'm saying it's her fault I'm gray. Because she was gray at a young age, so I'm gonna blame her because, well, you always blame the mother, don't you? And that's kind of how it works. So that's what I was always told. But thanks for watching again. If you liked the video, give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. If you're new, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. I enjoy having you. I enjoy doing the videos. Gives me something to look back to on, and it also gives me an opportunity to share some of the things that I've learned, good and bad, to reflect on why I do this in the first place. So, you know, I encourage you guys to at least kind of take a video or a journal or something to record and track what you're doing. It will make you a better gardener. It'll help you plan a little better. I think if I've done anything wrong consistently, it's the fact that I'm obviously horrible at planning, I guess. I like to think I'm a planner. I like to try to think ahead, take notes and tasks and to-do lists, that kind of stuff. But I have a hard time with a vision, if you will. Seeing the overall picture of what I know what I want. I just don't know how to get there, I think is my biggest problem. So doing this kind of stuff has really helped me. So enjoy the summer, enjoy your family, your life. It's a crazy, crazy time out there. Be safe, and happy gardening.